we're talking about real heroes, and Superman is a real hero. Yeah, comic book character Superman, hero. In the movies, Superman is a hero. And this time around, in the new Superman movie for 2025, people not feeling Superman too much. Zionists are definitely not feeling Superman too much. Ben Shapiro is definitely not feeling Superman too much. He's not feeling Superman 2025, and there's a reason for that. This movie, which is doing really well at the box office right now, is getting a lot of controversy, and we want to get into it. First and foremost, let's show you why, and we'll get into the segment from Ben Shapiro. Why critics say the new Superman movie is anti-Israel. Decoding the politics of the James Gunn film. Oh, buddy. Oh, God. They did a number with this one, though. Let's get into this part here. We're not going to read the whole thing, but this part. The allegory at the center of the controversy, James Gunn much anticipated Superman reboot, is drawing unexpected fire, not for its plot, but for its perceived politics. The film introduces a fictional border conflict between two countries. Boravia, a wealthy, militarized state supported by the U.S., and Jahanpur, a poor neighboring nation whose civilians face repeated airstrikes and forced displacement. Sound familiar? Yeah. Sound familiar, guys? To many critics and viewers, the imagery is unmistakable. Boravia resembles Israel, Jahanpur, Palestine. The moral framing of the conflict, military might versus civilian suffering, has ignited a firestorm online, especially as the film arrives amid ongoing real-world violence in Gaza. Well, and one of those people who is not happy about this is Ben Shapiro. It's so funny because we'll check the comments. The comments on this video, his audience is even coming after him on this one. Ben does not like it. So it's Ben versus Superman. Check this out.
Politics is in this. I think they're deliberately misinterpreting some of the politics that are in there. This is not a movie about illegal immigration. It's not a movie about ICE, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, the Palestinians. There may be references there if you have politics on the brain, but
hold on to that part because he said it's not about Israel or Palestine. That's important because he's gonna bring that up later on. He's gonna go against his own words here.
Other than that, I really don't think that there's that much of this there. That is not my overall problem with the movie. My overall problem with the movie is that you are taking the most iconic American IP of all time, Superman, which is to be treated with a certain level of respect. That doesn't mean it has to be, grand mythology, the way that Zack Snyder wants to do. Like, my standard for Superman is not Man of Steel. My standard for Superman movies is 1978 Richard Donner, the best version.
The best version of the movie, right? So we're not going to show too much here because you know how copyright can be. We're going to get to the next part of this segment because what's interesting there is he basically lets you know that, oh, I don't have a problem with this and this in the movie. It's not that at all. It's just that the best version of the Superman is the 1978 one. Okay, so let's say that is the best version of the Superman movie. I really don't give a damn. DC ain't been hitting too well on the movies. Let's keep it real. DC movies, you haven't been hitting too well when we compare them to that Marvel franchise. So let's think about that. The DC shows have been better. Arrow was good. I thought that show Arrow, I thought that was really good. I think they do better at shows. But then later on, he brings up that he has a problem with the plot. And in particular, this part.
Is the plot itself. The plot itself makes very little sense. The plot is basically that Lex Luthor has decided that he is going to make a deal with a foreign politician who the left wants to believe is both Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, but actually is just kind of nothing.
I'm sorry, that face was kind of funny. So listen to what he's saying. Vladimir Putin, Benjamin Netanyahu, listen to this.
Going to invade another country and Superman stops that invasion. Apparently, Lex wants to use this as an excuse to box up Superman, saying that he's running counter to American foreign policy. Now, we've seen that iteration in other movies, right? That was in Batman versus Superman. You've seen it in other versions of the Superman story, but it's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this separate country. He's going to split it with this other dictator. One major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. This is a major plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his big plan. And later...
Pause. Let's go back to this part right here. Listen to what he just said, the small plot of land.
Seen it in other versions of the Superman story, but it's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this separate country. He's going to split it with this other dictator.
Does that sound familiar? He wants to annex part of this country and he's going to split it with another dictator. See, this is the core part that Ben Shapiro has a problem with. He says so himself. Yet at the beginning of this video, he says, not about Israel, not about Palestine. But he tells you the biggest problem that he has is this part right here. Listen.
Major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. This is a major plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his...
Sound familiar? Notice how he referred to the people as third worlders. Because see, this is what Ben Shapiro, this is exactly how he sees the Palestinian people. He doesn't see them as regular people. So do you see how people expose themselves? He said this isn't the problem that he has with the movie, but this is really the problem that he has with the movie. Is because this movie basically gives a big FU to Israel. I can't think of any other issue right now that compares to this. It's that spot on.
Big plan. And later it turns out that he said, oh, no, I started that war just so that I could get people to turn against Superman. Okay, well, he does that halfway through the film. And then he jails him, and then he leaves him alive and explains this secondary plan that apparently was his primary plan, sort of. But he doesn't kill Superman at the time for a reason that remains undisclosed.
We hear that he killed 27 children, and you're always going to make mistakes, but that's how it is.
The entire plot is a complete mess. If you try to chart it, there's no way to do it because James Gunn doesn't care about plot. James Gunn doesn't care about characters. James Gunn cares about jokes and aesthetics. That's what James Gunn cares about.
Nobody cares anymore.
It's very difficult to make Clark a hero in a situation in which the plot is a complete mess. And again, that's not a rip on Nicholas Hoult, who I love in everything. I think he's great. Or David Corenswet or Rachel Brosnahan. That's a rip on James Gunn as a scriptwriter. It's just...
But so he brings up the plot, right? He brings up the plot is his main problem with the movie. But when he gets into the plot, the problem that he has with the plot is that occupation, these two countries, these two areas that share that border, it's the comparison to Israel and Gaza. That's what he has a problem with. Because even in a movie, which is in real life, but even in this movie, Ben Shapiro couldn't even find the humanity with the people who were oppressed and occupied. He knew exactly the message that James Gunn was trying to deliver. Now, I'm not here to call James Gunn a fantastic director. Nope, not doing that at all. But what I am here to say is, it's very obvious what he was pissed off about. Now, if you're watching a movie and you can't even find the humanity in saving the people who are occupied in the movie, what does that say about you as a person in real life? Pay attention, folks.
Not a good script. Okay, we'll get to more of this Superman review.
We don't care about your sponsorships. And then we get into this part right here.
The people of Jarhampur are brown.
Look at my African American over here.
The people of Moravia are white. Okay, so this is why the left is reading this as Israel, the Palestinians. The reason it doesn't work that way is because we are not made aware that the people of Jarhanpur are either wildly terrorism supportive, that they have participated in multiple terrorist attacks on the people of Moravia. They are led by a corrupt dictatorship that murders gay people, right? None of that's in the movie. So it doesn't match up.
So do you see what he's doing now? Right? Okay. This guy, I feel, Ben Shapiro, is probably has been one of the greatest con artists of podcasters in political media. And the reason why I say that is because of this. For years, he spewed this rhetoric about, faith and life and pro-life and honor and all that type of stuff. And this same person who preached that rhetoric for years made it very clear that when there is a genocide happening against the Palestinian children, all of a sudden the pro-life doesn't matter. I'm telling you guys, some of these people were bought off. You think Ben Shapiro, the people that work the Daily Wire, you think those are the only people that haven't been, oh, can we persuade you to do this? Da 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 da. That type of thing. But Ben Shapiro here, he's trying to say, well, because the people in the movie weren't terrorists and they didn't do da 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 da, there is no comparison. No, 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 no. The comparison is the fact that they share a small border and one is occupying the other. That's the comparison. It's really interesting that the same person who said he's tired of woke this, woke that, became very wokety woke after October 7th. The same person who said, I'm tired of the culture wars, I'm tired of identity, politics, I'm tired of the wokety woke, became very wokety woke after October 7th and has been nonstop about it. That's all you hear about over and over again. After being ratioed by his own viewers, just wokety woke. That guy. So he is pissed off about a movie. It's Superman. And this is the reason why he's angry about it. Because of Israel and Gaza, because of that comparison. This is not just a left thing. And I got to be very clear here because Ben Shapiro, again, is trying to continue to, I guess, appeal to his audience or whatever. But you'll see they even ratioed him as well. This is very important. This is not just a left thing. He said, oh, well, the left will want you to believe. Notice he did the same thing about Luigi Mangione. He was like, oh, well, the left thinks. He can't even figure out, or let's say he refuses to try to figure it out, how that there are certain issues that are bipartisan. Yeah, I don't know, like not doing a damn genocide, not killing children, making sure people have health care and they don't go into medical debt. Some of these things are actually bipartisan. And it's not just the left that is against what is happening in Gaza. You have conservatives speaking out against this too. But Ben Shapiro isn't going to tell his audience that because that's not his role. His role is to make sure that this left-right paradigm remains divided and that you understand that he wants you to understand that your real enemy is the people who are on the left. And as long as you keep thinking your real enemy is the people on the left, you're going to totally miss that your real enemy is the billionaire class. That's the problem. So here he is again misleading, convincing people to tell people, hey, the left is saying it's not just the left. Let's continue.
That way. And the idea that Moravia is Israel in this iteration, like a longtime U.S. ally that's randomly invading countries for territorial gain, that does not match up to any of the facts on the ground that we know of at all. That is not.
Excuse me. We'll go back a little bit more here.
Work that way is because we are not made aware that the people of Jahanpur are either wildly terrorism supportive, that they have participated in multiple terrorist attacks on the people of Moravia. They are led by a corrupt dictatorship that murders gay people, right? None of that's in the movie. So it doesn't match up that way. And the idea that Moravia is Israel in this iteration, like a longtime U.S. ally that's randomly invading countries for territorial gain, that does not match up to any of the facts on the ground that we know.
Yeah, it does match up to the facts on the ground. Israel right now, Benjamin Netanyahu has already made a statement publicly that they are going to occupy more of Syria. They've been bombing Syria. It was Benjamin Netanyahu who presented the Greater Israel Plan in front of Congress and called Iran the curse. It was Benjamin Netanyahu who said that next we will go on to liberate Africa. So I really do think, and I sincerely want to get this across to people as much as possible. There is no negotiating with Israel. There's no such thing. There's no negotiating with Israel. It is a genocidal state, and Ben Shapiro is a big part of that narrative. Ben Shapiro has been brainwashed, like a lot of other Zionists, to believe that they have this supremacy and they're entitled to that land and nobody else should be there. To the Christians, does that sound Christian-like to you? We already had the discussion that the Israel that's in the Bible is not the same Israel of today. Israel in the Bible is not a physical place. People have been played. You've been played. So he is angry about the Superman movie because it is criticizing Israel. And what I thought was really interesting is he continues to go on to say, oh, no, there's no comparison there at all. Then why are you focusing so much on it? When we talk about real heroes, in particular with this segment, Superman, comic book hero. He is a hero in the comic books. And some people are asking, is it right for Superman to take matters into his own hands? Superman's response is, people were dying. When you have done what you can do by trying to go through the proper channels, and the proper channels are complicit with the destruction that is happening, there is no more waiting to go through the proper channels. And the problem that we see, particularly in Gaza, is that there is no Superman in real life. If Superman were real, those people in Gaza would probably still be alive if Superman were real. So in real life, we don't have a Superman. We have activists that have risked their careers. Some of them have lost their careers. Some who have risked their lives. Some who have lost relationships with people. For those who are not aware, there are many of us that, we don't talk about this much, but there are many of us on this side of the screen that have lost friends because we didn't support Israel. And I'm one of them. This is why when people say, well, that's just, they're just talking about Gaza because it's just a grift or whatever. No. People don't understand what some people have lost by having these conversations. I know people who have lost their jobs, people who will never be able to go back into higher ed, academia again because of the position they took to stand with the Palestinian people. People who have lost loved ones because they're standing with the Palestinian people. There are people who have sacrificed quite a bit to stand up for that. So imagine if we did have a real life Superman. Would you want them to wait for the proper channels if the proper channels are complicit in the destruction? This is the difference between revolution and political movement. Because we've had multiple political movements within the country. Like Bernie Sanders was like a political movement, but at the end of the day, the status quo, the establishment came in to stop it. And that is why today some people will say over and over again that the only path forward is general strike or revolution. So you can't really point your fingers at Superman and say, well, how dare he just take matters into his own hands? Because the world stood by and watched it happen. That's why. Ben Shapiro is the worst. And I'll show you, if you guys don't believe me, we'll just look at this for just a second, because some of these comments are wilding out for real. Let's just go here. I always forget how you see the comments on the, we have to go all the way to the bottom. Look at this one. Came here for the comments, didn't disappoint. Oh my God. Listen to this. The land was promised to Boravia 6,000 years ago. You see, there's someone being sarcastic. Ben would definitely say Boravia has a right to defend itself. Ben Shapiro disliking a film is the highest praise it could possibly receive. This is his audience. His audience. Interesting, huh? Yeah. But according to him, it's only on the left. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.